Good day, my name is Archie Dela Cruz. I am a pastor at the same time a professional counselor from AMARA Center for Counseling and Training. Good afternoon or good morning or good day sa inyo lahat. It's such a pleasure to be with you today to impart what we are most needful of during this time na tawag natin ay the period of transition. You know, a lot of my mentors and known personalities who are actually doing mental health programming nowadays, particularly the counselors and psychologists, would say that what we are going through, like for example, anxiety and depressive moods, can now be considered normal as we all transition sa bagong new normal na meron tayo ngayon. So in the occasion that some of you are experiencing mga symptoms o mga manifestations o mga red flags, don't worry. Meaning to say, you are not an isolated case. Because from time to time, whether Christians or not, we will suffer probably or experience mga symptoms nito. Now, what do we do best? Kasi parang the chances are, lahat naman tayo dadaan sa ganitong stage. So the best thing first and foremost is to normalize when these things or symptoms are happening. In counseling, professional counseling, normalization helps a lot. Because may mga bagay na nangyari sa buhay natin that are primarily or probably beyond our control. So one best way is to accept and acknowledge as these things happen to us, but meron tayong tendency or capacity to manage or regulate yung mga repercussions o yung mga damaging result na natin holistically as a person. When I say normalize, it is also important for us to assess. Meron mga bagay sa buhay natin, sa way of life or choices, bago tayo dumana sa ganitong period ng pandemic na worth bringing in or babaunin natin as we go through a new normal of our lives. It's about an appeal para sa atin din to perhaps realign, rekindle, or sharpen, or let's try to look deeper into ourselves and choices. Ano yung mga bagay na magandang paunin pa rin natin, tsaka kapag-ipakinabang na i-practice pa rin natin sa new normal. Let me just also validate the struggles or the realities as we transitions. You know, every people, every professional will say that transitions will always demand difficulties, mga challenges, because this normal, our responses, for example, the fear, worry, and stress and concern, and actually composed of what we call anxiety, are normal reactions to an abnormal situation. Meaning to say, this COVID-19 global pandemic has not happened to most of us, if I'm not mistaken. So, every one of us has been learning how to respond or cope with it. So, realign and then assess and look deeper. Sabihin, as we try to introspect, ano yung mga bagay na pwede natin i-give in to the demands of this period. Then what else? We can also slowly adapt one adapting process or measure at a time. Because, as I've said earlier on, transitions will somehow be challenging. So the best thing to do is to slowly adapt. And you need to be patient. When I say patient, sometimes transitioning will always be frustrating. If not always, at least oftentimes frustrating. So you need to be patient with yourself and your persevering attempt to nakasanay ka sa ganitong klaseng mga adjustments. For someone like me, for example, na nagbibigay ng mga psychological counseling, the practice of acknowledging the emotional impact at ito sa isang tao ay napaka-importante rin. When I say acknowledging, it's okay to be in touch with the feelings of being afraid, anxious, yung minsan yung frustration. Kasi the moment we acknowledge it, the more we get in touch with our struggles, the more we get in touch with our responses. The moment we own it, meron tayong capacity now or power to let it go as habang tayo inasanay sa ganitong klaseng mga transition. What else? How do we best care for ourselves samantalang tayo ay nasa new normal? Let me say a few other practical things na pwede natin gawin. A lot of psychologists here and abroad would say following a regular schedule or routine will be very much helpful. Naniwala ko kayo doon sapagkat the brain can be conditioned or be programmed to following a day-to-day, week after week na mga ginagawa mo so that you'll be spared from entertaining mga anxious thoughts, mga debilitating fears which are not necessary samantalang tayo nandito nag-a-adjust pa rin. So look at your schedule. Try to organize your life. Gumawa tayo ng mga checklist and let's faithfully and religiously go through it every single day or every single week. May I also suggest that kasama sa ating paggawa ng bagong routine o scheduling, yung magkaroon tayo ng ng regular or periodic na exercise. Sapagkat even yung mga psychiatrists na nagbibigay sila ng mga pharmacological interventions, meaning patients with anxieties and depression, the moment they need to take in medicines, they're supposed to either see a professional counselor and or samahan to ng physical exercise. Why? Because samantalang yung gamot ay sinusubukong i-regulate yung mga symptoms ng depression at mga anxiety, yung katawan din natin kapag tayo nag-make physical exercise, our body, mostly in the brain, is capable of producing a lot of dopamines which are very essential in combating yung mga depressive moods. Hindi ka lang gumagal ng katawan mo, but you're also helping yourself to think logically, to think rationally, and sensibly. So exercise. What else is necessary? Napaka-importante na meron tayong adequate amount of sleep. Sleep meaning, when the person gets to have sufficient or adequate amount of sleep per night, part of our brain is producing a lot of melatonin naman. Melatonin. And that's very important, secretion of that fluid in the body na to help us think better. Makaisip tayo ng tama din as we go to these challenging transitions of our lives. Ako din personally, I'm such a sucker for books and reading. Ito man nakarang 2.5 months or perhaps running 3 na, ay nakatulong sa akin na malaki yung tinatawag na bibliotherapy. Ang bibliotherapy is a suggestive and directive counsel from psychologists and perhaps a psychiatrist and counselor to look for good books na pwede mong basahin siya 1 chapter, 2 chapters a day para wala tayong mga dull moments na matulungan ka para yumaman ng kaisipan, mag-function pa rin ng brain, maging productive pa rin siya. What else? Of course, as a Christian counselor, it is very kind of mandatory or very essential for us to seriously consider exploring spirituality. Remember, tayo ay mga holistic beings, we are physical beings, we are social-emotional beings, we are mental people who meron tayong intellect, and of course, we are also spiritual beings. The 4 major domains or components of our bodies that we need to pay close attention to in taking care of ourselves. Exploring spirituality is also an attempt para sa atin to really journey mindfully and to walk with the Lord by engaging ourselves with the spiritual activities like praying, Bible reading, church-going, fellowshipping, and so on and so forth, including remembering and also reflecting. According to this Canadian Journal of Psychiatry, yung mga tao na nagbibigay ng emphasis o impact or importance sa kanyang walk with God, mas malakas o mataas ang kanilang coping mechanism to battle or to combat yung mga tendencies o mga challenges of our lives. So, we make that as a priority. Put a high premium to your spirituality because it's very, very important. And of course, pinakahuli, as a professional who pays attention to the being holistic individuals as we are, do not hesitate to consult a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a doctor, or counselor. In other words, mga professional individuals for you to be attended to when you need necessary or further help. May God bless you, and I hope you all journey and walk together as you go through and receive and amass all the encouragement and holistic help that you can get during these transition times.